Hi everyone. So the goal of this video is to think about your energy project and to think about how are you going to research things for your energy project. So here are some steps that I've outlined to kind of guide your process in terms of what do you want to research for your energy project and how are you going to research. So here are some steps I recommend. First one, make a list of questions and keep adding to that list. I'll show you an example of a list in a minute. Next one, don't just use Google's first result. Find reliable sources like a .edu or a .gov or something else. And if you're not sure if something is reliable, then please ask me. There are some websites that I know are reliable, maybe a research website or something like that, where you can just run it by me and I'll tell you if I think it's trustworthy. And then check your math. There might be some resources that give you some numbers, and that's a part of this project is giving me some data, giving me some numbers, like how much power does a solar panel produce? How much power will you get from all the solar panels that you put on the school? How many solar panels can you fit on the school? So you might have to do a little bit of math and make sure you check your numbers. And then try to use resources that you understand. There are many websites that might have a lot of jargon, a lot of words that you don't know. And that's okay. Sometimes you have to maybe see, are there just a few words I don't know and can I learn them? Or are there like way too many words that I don't know and this is just a little bit too much for me? So try to find resources that are on your level or maybe just a little bit beyond your level. So let's give you some examples. So here are some example questions that I came up with. You can definitely borrow these. These are just a few questions I came up with. But how much energy does our school use? What percentage of energy is from the lights in our school? How does our school's heating system work? So these are just some examples. Let's try to maybe look up one of these. So I have my list of questions. I'm going to maybe go to Google. I'm going to copy and paste my question. And all right, so here's an example. The first thing that comes up, it says that the average onshore wind turbine gets 2.5 to 3 megawatts, and it can produce 6 million kilowatt hours every year. So first of all, I'll say a couple things. One, I don't know if this website is reliable. This is usually what I see students just copy and paste, but this might not be a reliable source, and you don't know in what context are they talking about. The other thing is there might be a few words in here that you don't know, but maybe you can learn, like megawatts. Megawatts is a million watts. And then kilowatt hours. You might want to try to figure out what that means. I'll tell you briefly, kilowatt hours is a measurement of energy. And it's like how many watts do you use in 1 hour? The other thing I would pause about is the fact that this isn't true for all wind turbines. This is true for some really big wind turbines. So you might want to do a little bit of research to figure out, is this true for all wind turbines? So I think one website I would go to is actually the second one. It's from the government website, so United States Geological Survey, a .gov website. You can click on this one and see what it says. So it has this long answer, talks about how much energy a home uses, and then it kind of talks about the capacity of a wind turbine being 2.7 megawatts. But I think the biggest thing that I see here is that the average wind turbine would generate over 843,000 kilowatt hours per month. So again, one thing you might want to just try to understand is like what is a kilowatt hour, and there might be some practice problems in my third lesson related to that. And then you might want to think about, well, this is per month. How would I change that to per year? And if you think about it, well, there's 12 months in a year, so I would just multiply this number by 12. So that's what I mean by check your math. Okay, so let's just revisit this list here. I have my list of questions. I went to Google, but I didn't just use the first result. I tried to find a reliable source like a .gov, and then there is some math that I might have to do to try to understand that number, to try to figure out how big is that number and what does it mean. And I think I used a resource that I understand because I know some of these terms. Like I said, you might have to do a little bit of research and a little bit of learning to figure out what some of these terms mean. But like I said, lesson 3 uses some of these terms like watts and kilowatts. So we'll try to get used to some of those measurement terms. Let's maybe do another quick example here. Let me see. Well, how about this? How do wind turbines work? If you don't really know how they work, it might be kind of hard to understand how their energy works. Um, so this is from a .gov website. So this first blurb might be a good place to start, but it might not be the only answer I go after. How wind turbines work. Wind turbines use blades to collect the wind's kinetic energy. So we might know what that phrase means. That's good. Wind flows over the blades, creating lift, which causes the blades to turn, and the blades are connected to a drive shaft that turns an electric generator, which produces electricity. So there might be some words in there that you don't know. You might not know what a drive shaft is, but you might understand the basic parts where it takes the wind's movement and it turns it into electricity. All right. Another thing I might do for a question like this is I might put it into YouTube. There might be a really good video that kind of explains how wind turbines work. So let's see. And I'll tell you right now, this first one, the engineering mindset, they have so many good videos on engineering. This is actually a really good video. I know it says it's long, but I've actually watched this video and I know the first 4 minutes will give you basically the basics of what you need to know about windmills. But as you can see, there's a lot of videos. TED Ed is a reliable source. They have a 5-minute video on how wind turbines work. So that's one way I might approach that question. So I hope that was a good example. Again, this is the list. And then what I want you to think about is like, what research strategies have you learned in other classes? And maybe you can add a comment on this video and tell me what strategies you might have learned in other classes. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. If you need help with research, let me know. I can help you while you're in class. I think it's a really important step to make your list of questions. Make sure you know exactly what you're trying to find, and then go out and try to find it using Google or other sources. All right, I'll see you in class.